Friends, today we're going to be talking about how hard is it to get started in real estate. Here's a question that I get asked often. Is it hard to get started in real estate investing? And my answer is always the same. No, but there's a right way and a wrong way to get started in real estate. And by the end of this video, I'm going to make sure that you understand exactly the right way to get started in real estate. And I'll even share with you the things that I did to get started, plus the things I'll never do again. As I dive into this video, I want to share with you exactly how you can get started in real estate by talking about the things you can do right now to get started. Then I want to explain to you how this one trait, one thing that you can master that will make all the difference in your real estate investing journey. And finally, I want to walk you through exactly how I got started in real estate investing, plus the things that I'm not going to do ever again. If you're ready, let's go. So I think the most important thing to do to get started in real estate investing is to educate yourself. Even though the saying goes, the expert was once the beginner, that's so true, but I imagine that the beginner in this scenario is somebody who really dove into understanding the area that they wanted to learn. For you, it's real estate investing, right? So you've got to spend time, energy, and effort into educating yourself when it comes to real estate investing. And I've met so many people in my career that are real estate investors. They make their living, they make a lot of money real estate investing, and they usually got started just by being a sponge, somebody that was open to information and just soaked in all the information they could, and they ran with that. And a lot of people say, well, how do I educate myself? Where do I get that education? And I'll cover that here in just a minute. But if you really wanted to be somebody who's going to be a fantastic real estate investor, I think this one area, by educating yourself in this area, will make all the difference in the world. And that's being somebody who can find deals and negotiate deals. Because honestly, the money is made in the deal. So if you're somebody who is very good at finding deals, maybe off-market properties, or scouring the internet or social media to find deals, and you're able to look through lots and lots of deals and understand, okay, this could potentially be a good deal, and finding those, that is somebody that if you pointed me to that person, I would say they are eventually going to make a lot of money in real estate. But you have to be able to find the deals. When I first got started in real estate, it was really important to me to find deals, and I became really obsessed with it, really, really good at it. I remember I was looking everywhere. I was looking in newspapers. I was looking online. I was even looking on eBay to find real estate properties. Funny story, and this just happened last week, but probably about 22 years ago, I bought 160 acres of land, and I bought it really cheap. I bought it for $8,000. 160 acres for $8,000. Now, it was out in the middle of nowhere, and I knew it was in the middle of nowhere, and I knew it would probably be a long term before I got a return on it, but I'd scoured the internet. I'd been looking online, and I saw, holy cow, 160 acres for $80,000. I went and looked in the newspapers and other places, and it seemed like a pretty good deal. Plus, I knew I was a long-term play on it. Just last week, I got one of those canned direct mail pieces in the mail that said, hey, we are land buyers, and we saw that you have this land located here. We'd be interested in buying it. The price we're willing to pay for that is $72,000. Now, I haven't called on it yet, but I found it really interesting that all of a sudden a property I bought many, many years ago that came because I was scouring the internet to find different properties, 20 years later came back to offer almost a 9 times return that I originally paid for the property. So I can tell you that finding deals is probably one of the most important traits you can learn as a real estate investor. So where else can you learn? One of the easiest ways is joining real estate investing clubs. I think almost every city has this. If they don't, what an awesome opportunity to start one. I live in a town of about 30,000 people, and I go to a local real estate investing club. Currently, even right now, I go to one on a national level, but I love going to the local one just because it's about the area that I live in, and it's best practices and people that are interested in real estate investing, and I still to this day learn good things from them. Other things you can do locally is join the planning and zoning committee, maybe a city council, or just even attending those meetings is going to give you really good insight on what is happening as far as real estate and real estate development in your area. So local clubs are awesome. Real estate investing clubs that are local or national are awesome ways to get educated. If you wanted to fast track that learning curve, you might even invest into coaching. You might pay somebody to coach you or teach you about real estate investing. This is going to fast track your education at a level that you otherwise couldn't do just on your own. Because the way that I look at a coach, and I've been in the coaching space for a long time, and we have seen coaching, especially real estate investing coaching, really elevate the game for a lot of different individuals. Because typically a coach sees pitfalls and challenges that you don't see before you arrive there. So he or she can help you overcome the hurdles that you might potentially have that they've seen time and time again because they've worked with so many different clients that it's going to put you in a much better situation. Now, there's obviously mentors you can pay for or mentors that you might have on the side. They'll give you time as needed. But investing into yourself, investing into coaching is going to fast track your education and put you in a much better situation than you would be if you tried to educate yourself on your own. And I'm not saying it can't be done on your own, but if you're looking for that way to get there faster, investing in coaching is a great way to do it. Another thing that I've seen is if there is an area of real estate investing or real estate in general that you're passionate about, a lot of times that can help you to get started as a real estate investor, right? So if you're involved in construction, or if you've ever been involved in construction and you're good at that, or you have an eye for decorating or interior design, that could be your pathway to get started in real estate. So what do I mean by that? Obviously, if you're in construction and you're good at it, you understand it, you can find distressed properties, right? That they don't look very good cosmetically. You can go in and enhance the look of that property just by doing some things that you're already good at, that you've built a trade around. Obviously, that becomes a fix and flip where you buy the property, you fix it up a little bit, you turn around and sell it for a higher price. So having a passion or a niche in some area is going to be fantastic. I've seen people who had a passion for design. So they've gone in, they've looked at a property and says, man, if I did this or that to the property and took it from where it is right now and turned it into a short-term rental by making it look appealing and somewhere where somebody would want to go on vacation, I can turn around and make a good profit from that. So whatever your passion or niche is can really help you get started in real estate as well. But ultimately, this is what I tell everybody that wants to get started in real estate. You ultimately just got to jump in and do it, right? I talked about the ability to find deals, right? It gives you so many options when you understand how to find deals. And now finding deals is just part of the process. So if you're out there scouring the internet, social media, papers, or realtors, at that point, you've got to put offers on these deals. So what we're looking to do is we're going to try to find deals, and then we're going to put offers out there. And you might have very few offers that are ever accepted, but that's the whole point, right? You only want offers accepted that you feel are a good deal. So if you become good at finding deals, and I'll tell you one other tool, one other tidbit when it comes to finding off property market deals is invest in a real estate software like RealFlow. That is a software that I love. I can put in the criteria that I'm absolutely looking for, right? If I want pre-foreclosure, taxes owed, absentee owner, I can put all those criteria in there in a certain area and it'll pull up properties that match that criteria. And then at that point, I can go to work to put offers or find those properties or reach out to those property owners to put deals on those. If you're saying, man, I wish there was something out there that would do a lot of the work for me when it comes to finding deals, there is. And the software that I really like is RealFlow. So check that out. It does cost money, but it's a small investment to help you get started in your real estate journey. But back to my point, I know I threw that in there as something else that'll help you get started in real estate, but overall it's finding properties and then putting offers on those, because the offers you get back that are accepted are the ones that you want to pursue and move forward with. You know, there's a gentleman that I met just probably about 2 years ago, and he was brand new in his real estate journey, just getting started. He was passionate and excited about doing wholesale deals, meaning that he was doing exactly what I'm talking about, trying to find deals that he could get at a very low price, right? So retail price, he was trying to get them at wholesale price, and he was putting lots of offers on properties and barely getting any to come through. Fast forward 2 years to this day, he now has an educational program that shows people exactly how to do what he did and find deals. And this is his full-time job, finding wholesale deals and turning around and selling them. So jumping in and doing it is so crucial to get started in real estate. And I know it sounds scary, but anything you do in life for the first time could be scary. If you jump in and do it and you overcome that fear, chances are you're going to be much better off than if you just try and wait for the right time. So when I first got started in real estate, I was really passionate about finding something close to home where I grew up. And I knew something about the area that I grew up. The university was changing from a 2-year institution to a 4-year institution. So I had been scouring the papers and I found some fourplexes that were for sale. And I had some friends of mine that had made some good money and they were looking to invest in real estate. And I told them, said, hey, I think there's some good deals up here because this is what's happening in the area. They said, man, we're interested. So I went about and I called on the properties, right? And I said, hey, we might be interested in 2, 3, or 4 fourplexes. And they said, awesome, I'd love to meet with you. So I went and sat down with them and eventually sat down and said, listen, would you be interested in buying 8 of them? And I went back to my partners and they said, absolutely, we'd buy 8 of them. And as it went on, I remember sitting down with these individuals and these fourplexes sat on a spine where there were 7 down one aisle and 7 down another aisle, so there was 14. After multiple conversations, they said, listen, if you guys can buy 14, we'll give it to you from the price of retail, normally $285,000, down to $247,000. And I thought, that's exactly why I got into real estate. That's exactly what I I want to do. So I went back to my partner and said, listen, I've got this great deal. We buy 14. We can get them for $30,000 off, a little bit more than $30,000, $35,000 off of what the retail price is. And they came back and said, listen, we only want to buy 8. And so I was in a tough situation because that price was on 14, but my partners were only willing to take 8. So I found another individual who said, listen, I'm interested in buying some real estate. And what I did is I signed the contract to him on 6 of those fourplexes at $247,000. I assigned the contract to him at $255,000. So it wasn't huge, but for every fourplex that I signed the contract over to him, I made $8,000 per fourplex, or $48,000, which I parlayed that money into some lots in kind of a destination area that ended up being also a great investment for me. So my first foray into real estate was finding a good deal, finding some investors who were interested and passionate about it like I was, and it ended up being a good situation. But I jumped in and I did it. Now, throughout my career, I've learned some things in real estate investing that I've done well and some things I haven't done well. And that's kind of my goal, is to share with you everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But here's a few things that I will never, ever do again when it comes to real estate investing. First off, I'm not going to agree on a deal that doesn't meet the metrics that I've put in place that I know that have to be hit in order for it to be a good deal. I've done that before where I just liked the property or I was tied to it emotionally and I purchased it, ended up not being a good deal. So it has to hit the metrics that you've set up beforehand, but I will never engage in a deal where the metrics do not make sense on what I've set up prior of what the numbers need to be in order for me to move forward. I will never go against the numbers that I have set up beforehand. And I will never do a deal without a solid agreement. There's been times where I've bought from just buyer to seller, no real estate agent, no attorney, and it's ended up being a point of frustration for me as the buyer or for them as the seller. I will never do a deal without a solid agreement. And if I do a deal between just somebody, a for sale by owner, I'm going to make sure that I get an attorney involved that will help me in those situations to be able to look at the things that I otherwise might not look at that might be a bad deal for me. And finally, if I'm renting the property, I will never just accept a tenant without doing any of the background checks that a lot of times property management companies will do. Most times I will rarely have an investment property that's like a rental without having a property management company in place. Now that's my preference, but there was a scenario in the past where when I first got started, I owned a fourplex and I allowed a few people in there that weren't the best citizens and they destroyed the inside of the property, and it took a lot of time, energy, and money to fix the property back to where it needed to be in order for me to rent it again. So I will never do that again. Now those are some things that I've done in my real estate career that have helped me to get started in real estate. And I'd be interested in what you've done. And as always, I've got a free gift for you. It's aaron'sfreetraining.com. It's a short-term rental calculator. You put the information in and it will spit out to you whether it's a good deal or not. Once again, thanks for stopping by. Have an awesome day.